Shazam?
Peacemaker. What a joke. I'm nobody. I came because I had no choice. I came to save my home and the people that I love.
Truth, justice,
the American way.
I'm vengeance.
Hello and welcome to Elseworlds, a DC fan podcast. My name is Jordan, and always as with me is Chris. How are you today, Chris?
I'm good. Nice chill day. Talking some Superman, so I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful anytime we talk Superman.
Yes, we'll be talking American Alien issues 1 through 7 as we get ready to celebrate Superman's 85th birthday, which just was a couple days ago. So this actually came around at a perfect time. This was not planned, but it worked out at a perfect time. So yeah, we're going to be talking American Alien. So if you haven't read it, and you're weary about spoilers, you can jump off. But this is pretty much just another retelling of the origin story of Superman and Clark Kent. So if you're not worried about that, you can continue to hear us talk about it, and you can figure out if you should read it or not. But yeah, so Chris, you're the one that brought this to my attention. You're the one that has read the story before. This was my first time reading it. So I just want to give the floor to you a little bit. If you can tell us what like really stood out in this story for you to make it like stick with you, for you to pick it as like a story.
All right, so Superman's origin has been done so many times, and when the first time I read this, honestly, I just really like the cover. I just really like the cover. I like Superman, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna check this out. And yeah, there you go. And Superman feeling different, feeling like he doesn't belong on Earth, um, finding out his powers in the most honestly inventive ways I've seen in comics. Just super cool, and I really like the development of his relationship with Lois, the way it came about in this, and the just I thought that it was a pure Superman story that got to the point, and I think it made creative choices that kind of made sense of some things that we kind of gloss over sometimes. So I really enjoyed the story, and I think it was really very interesting to see. It's very much like Superman for all seasons, but with maybe more of a modern take. It was pretty cool. I really enjoyed the story from Smallville to Metropolis. I thought it was one of the more memorable origin stories because I think some of them just blend in together.
And when was the first time you read it? Do you know? A couple years ago, or was
I
it
read it
recently? Or
2 or 3 summers ago.
okay.
2 or 3 summers ago, I saw the cover and I was like, I'm gonna get that book. That's cool. He's like in the cornfield, like the laser eyes. Yeah,
Got
that's
the S
awesome.
in the background.
Yeah,
I didn't
the
notice
the
that
moon.
before,
Yeah,
actually. Yeah.
yeah. It's just I was like that's cool. And the reason it actually caught my attention though is because his sweatshirt almost looks like a prison uniform. So I was like, wait a second. So it caught my eye for that reason, and then I'm like, oh, okay. So it's a hoodie, but I found it very interesting. The colors, I just you know we can say all we want about story, but comics, we get drawn in by the art and we stay
hmm
for the story. So, yeah, it caught my eye. I heard it was supposed to be good. I was like, okay.
Yeah, this is written by Max Landis, and the artists change each issue as well. So this came out in 2016, kind of I think right before BVS because or started before BVS because some of the ads are
Yeah,
Batman vs Superman ads and Supergirl. ads and stuff like that. So, because I had no clue when this came out. So when the only thing I knew about this was it was written by Max Landis. That's all I knew. Um, Diving into this, so I really enjoyed the first issue. Again, that's this one with this. But it actually takes a really weird turn in issue 2 that really put me off of the story. And then issue 3 kind of brought me back. And overall, I just kind of ended up feeling um, just okay about the story. It's not going to be anywhere in my top Superman stories, unfortunately. But uh, there's a few reasons for that. One, the art is jarring, as we said, kind of offline. It's with it changing each issue, kind of having to reset who is who, right? Like you can generally tell, but like when you get to certain characters, they have a certain look in some drawings, in some of the issues, and then they might have a different look in a different issue, and you kind of have to kind of tell yourself, who it is, and um, you know, uh, it, like certain times, like when I'm reading a run, when they change artists, so even not on a mini series, but just on like a regular run, when they change artists, I have a tough time sometimes being like adapting to the new style. And where it does it every issue out of 7, it's like whiplash, kind of like each.
Hmm.
Now that's good for some people, I'm sure. I'm sure some people love a new artist each issue because they're like, oh, we're showcasing these artists. We get to showcase 7 artists throughout the story. But for me, it's just kind of like a little bit of a whiplash there. So, uh, yeah, issue 2, that was my one that I was really loving the first issue, and then issue 2 came and really derailed it for me.
It's a hard turn, isn't it? It's like we
Yeah,
really went in a direction here.
yeah, he uses his heat vision to like totally f up someone, and then part of it is because he, I guess, wasn't as in control, but it was
And he
definitely.
was screaming, "You made me do this! You made me do this!" I'm like, "No, you did it."
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that didn't feel as Superman for me, right? Now, of course, we're talking about more modern uh, teenagers, right?
Hmm.
That's the difference, right? Is
It's
that
a
like some
coming
of
of
these,
age story, though, and that's why it works. It's not like he did that in his 30s. That story would not work if that was the case.
right?
Um, I, it's my least favorite issue. I of the 7.
Hmm.
I'm pretty
It got
sure that,
dark too. Like
yeah,
the one guy like kills the dog, right? Like shoots the
yeah. And
dog,
so
and
it
that
was
hurt me too.
that family was just nasty. It was a really dark dynamic, but the art really went in a dark direction from, we were just talking about the changing of art. The first
Mhm.
issue was so colorful and almost cartoonish, and that was like, yeah, like that. And the second issue was, it was kind of very heavy line work and very,
Mhm.
very shadowy and moody. And I think that is the biggest deterrent of the series is the change in art. But I loved every issue but issue 2.
Yeah, and I think it's a weird spot to put that. I mean, I guess it makes sense on like Clark's growing up path, but like if you're trying to hook people, right? Like having a really great first issue and then having an issue that is issue 2, which I did not enjoy, almost really put me off of the whole thing. Like
Hmm.
like if I wasn't recording this, I don't know if I would have continued, right? And
Hmm.
like issue 3 is just another tonal whiplash for me because it's like party boy Bruce Clark, type of thing.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
issue 3 was interesting because
yeah,
there was like a total disregard for the pilot. Their plane crashes,
yeah,
and then there's like he saves the pilot, and then the pilot doesn't matter at the end. It's
yeah.
the
He's just
rest of the
chilling on the
story.
boat the rest of the
It's
way.
just like, okay, this is the trip now, and he looks like Bruce Wayne, so everyone thinks he's Bruce Wayne, which I kind of thought was interesting. I really loved the whole Deathstroke thing, where like he just like mangles his sword, and he's like, "What?" what is happening? And that to me that was a lot of fun. Him and Barbara were an interesting pairing, and I like that issue an awful lot. But yeah, the pilot not mattering was the whole time I'm reading and going, I think we forgot a story beat here. Uh,
Well, I'm glad they did acknowledge the whole Deathstroke like did lace him with something, right? Lace his drink
mhm.
with something. Because at first I thought Clark was actually drunk, and I was like, that usually can't happen. So I was kind of like again kind of put off in that regard until they answered it. Then I was like, all right, I can give them some some leeway with that because I was a
Yeah, yeah.
little it was a little odd, I was like, especially like that whole issue um really just has the I guess it's just to set up the whole Bruce Wayne thing in like issue 4 or 5, right? Like
Mhm.
because it doesn't really help Clark go anywhere, and then Barbara never really comes back up, right? So that's kind of a loose
And that was
plot
such
thread,
an
I guess.
interesting pairing because they really,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah,
it really kind of worked. It was like, this makes sense. And Barbara seemed in character too. So it was like,
yeah, yeah.
are they really doing Barbara Gordon and Superman? Like, what is this really happening? But I enjoyed that. That might be one of my favorite issues, actually, just because I thought it was fun. Like, it was a very comic book issue. And I don't know, I had a blast with it. Issue two, it was I kind of understand that they needed to show that his powers could be catastrophically bad when not understood. I think that was the point. And issue three was like, he's a teenager who feels like he can do whatever he wants. And why wouldn't he? Um, Honestly, why wouldn't he? He's invulnerable to so many things. He's young, and everyone thinks you're a billionaire Bruce Wayne. Live, be the life of the party. Why not?
Right, right.
I do the same thing in that situation. I would do the same thing. Of course, I want to look like Bruce Wayne, so
And then we had issue 4. Is that the one that he starts interning at the Daily Planet?
yeah, I believe so. And then he is that the one where they interview the
I think so.
Luther?
All
Yeah,
four of the all three of the billionaires, right?
right. So it's Wayne, um,
Ollie.
Luther, and Oliver. Yeah, Oliver Queen. Um, and I at the end of it, I think Lois is like, "Hey, Clark, I sorry to get your number from someone else, but I got the real one. I got Bruce Wayne. I heard you got um, Oliver and Luther. You want to work together, but and he, but it's like he finds that right after he figures what right after Batman attacks him,
Yeah, yeah.
and it goes horribly for Batman. Yeah, that I first off, this is Batman versus Superman done right. Okay. This is accidental Batman versus Superman. And it's just like Batman has no idea what he's getting into and be gone with you.
Yeah, I this is where the art kind of threw me too. I don't like Batman's hands.
Actually, you know what? I didn't notice the hands, and now I can't unnotice them.
Yeah,
They're like little claws.
yeah. They look like almost like Catwoman claws. Like they're just like
Yeah.
they don't look
Selena's
human.
rubbing off on
Yeah,
them.
yeah. They don't look human, and that's kind of like
Uh,
a thing there. But um, issue 4 majorly worked for me. I liked him being like Clark and doing the interviews.
yep.
Especially when Lex just kind of goes off on this whole tangent, right?
First
And
off, it
then
was a great Lex Luthor moment.
it was, yeah,
It was so unabashedly Lex Luthor, and when it's Lex Luthor, it's always unabashedly done. Just unbelievably good stuff there, and you really sets up the rest of the story because Lex Luthor and Lois become the two most important characters going forward in the story, I would say. But I really like the Dick Grayson thing where Dick Grayson is in the kids center and he's trying to figure out Clark. and Clark knows what's in his pocket, and he swears he's cheating, but he doesn't know how. And it's just an interesting study because, of course, Dick Grayson, Batman's understudy, would look at Clark and just pick apart everything he could pick apart. And some of these things are really interesting. Like, smells like smoke, doesn't smoke. He must have rode the metro. Like that, some of these things are really interesting. And it shows you, like, I love Dick Grayson as a character. And anytime I can see young Dick Grayson before he realizes that Bruce is a jerk, I love it. I absolutely love it. So there was a lot of good stuff. That whole scene worked for me. It was fantastic, and I thought the ambition of the Superman story to put so much of the Batman stuff in there um, was was pretty ballsy.
Yeah, this was a. Why is Dick there? Do we know?
So he's like a
Because
like
he's the ward of Bruce,
daycare thing.
but yeah, is a daycare. So did Bruce drop him off at the daycare before
Yeah, I
these
think
interviews or something?
yeah, I think that's what happened. That's the only thing that makes sense. But you know, it's it's got to be interesting to be Dick Grayson because at night you can do anything you want, and in daytime you have to be a kid.
Right, right.
So that's a little interesting. But I really enjoyed this issue. Um, and I think the art's really good. I like Clark looking like this. Like he looks like just a mild-mannered reporter.
Hmm.
His hair's a little unkept. It's just this is actually some of my favorite art in the book. So it might be my favorite artist that did this. It was a good. I thought this was a really good part of the story.
And then at issue 5, is that the monster issue?
Yes,
So that ends with this, right?
right. And what I love about this is Superman comes up with the name Superman in this telling. Lois inspires it, and then you know, and
Lex
then
inspires it, doesn't he?
you know what? You're right.
Because Lex asks him if he is a Superman, like the like
Oh,
the
you know what?
like
You
the
are right.
Nietzsche
And
Superman.
then because the scene before, what I'm thinking about is the scene before it. They're in the diner, and Lois is going, you were right, Clark. I just want the good guy with time on his hands. I want the
Right.
do-gooder. And then right after that scene is that. So
Yeah, and he also gets the S on the chest from it too. Now in another issue, they're actually going to say in issue 6, they're going to say it's because that was on his pod as well when he crashed. But Lex does mention like people wearing like an S on their chest during that same tirade or during one of the tirades.
mhm.
So I think he kind of stole all that from Lex, and then is kind of like almost taunting him with it in a sense there.
Yeah, well, Lex Luthor was taunting him, going, "Oh, you brought the guy to me. No plausible deniability for you. You're stupid, stupid. You didn't calculate this. You didn't think this through." And Superman just goes up there, going, "Okay, you're the bad guy. Here's your monster. What are you going to do about it?" And Lex Luthor is like, "You're the bad guy now."
That was something that was frustrating for me in a sense of I thought that was going to come back, but it didn't. In a sense of like Lois even mentions, oh, he dropped him off at Lex. Is there a reason why? But she immediately buys into the good side of it. We didn't see anybody actually be like, well, maybe he's working for like none of that really came back
Yeah,
up, and it just seems like that part kind of went nowhere. And in the sense of, I know people usually say Superman's like a big dumb alien. This was a huge big dumb alien moment. Is when he
yeah.
just goes and returns him instead of like I don't know somehow getting the authorities to look into Lex. But
I thought it was pretty naive. I thought naive would be the word that I would use. They even say that in the book. I think naive is the word. I don't know that he's dumb. He just thinks everything's going to work the way it's supposed to work. And I think Superman is realizing that's not the way the world is.
And then issue 6, right? This is when
Mhm.
Pete and who's the other friend? They come in to visit.
I just read it the other day. I should like just have this in my
I
head.
just read it yesterday and I can't remember.
Pete's the one that matters. Pete's the one that yells at him.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Ever since Superman Birthright had to get out of that, get back into American Alien. In issue 7. All right, issue 6. It just keeps taking me to 7. Anyway, two
You're
friends
fine.
from Smallville. Two friends from Smallville come and yeah, he's still like, hey, you look like Taurus. Like, so he's like, come on, let's go. And he shows him around the city, and then Pete's all mad at him. And Superman thinks he's jealous. Clark thinks he's jealous. And he goes, "Don't you see? You're the only hope we have. You're what we talk about." I did find it interesting that it seems like Smallville knows, like as a whole, in this, which is a little
Yeah.
interesting. It's like
Well,
too
because
many
the
people know that.
doctor in like issue 1, right,
Right?
is like, wait, like, wait a minute, right? And
Yeah.
then I think it just kind of with him always being in the mix of stuff at Smallville, it seemed like because in each issue, it's like nobody's kind of hiding it in Smallville. It feels like,
Mhm.
right? So it's like I guess they just kind of like small town keeping their whole secret together. I guess.
Yeah, it feels like nowadays that's too many people knowing the secret. But I I like the whole scene where he gets mad and he says, "Fine, I'll fly off to the moon," and the Green Lanterns are like, "Yeah, not yet, buddy." Um, and it goes horribly for Clark, and Clark for the first time has a limit. Um, and he comes back down naked, and they're like, "Hey, we found your clothes on the roof." That was that was a good, powerful scene, I thought. I really like it issue 6 because you just got that back and forth, and I really like the idea of, hey, doesn't anybody recognize you just because you have the glasses on? And they say, I take my glasses off all the time, and they say you look exactly like Superman. They don't assume you are Superman, and I think that that's kind of the idea that has to work because if you think about Superman's secret identity too much, it really does fall apart. So that's actually the best explanation I have heard so far on why Superman's costume works.
Well, I mean, I think the costume always works, and the reason why I mean, like in the sense of I have met people that look totally different with glasses, right? Or like they put their hair up, right? Or they change their hair and put glasses on. And you're like, huh? Like where do I know that person from? But I think the reason why it really works is kind of like what is hinted to in this, right? Of you look like Superman. The reason why they don't think he is Superman is because what would Superman be doing walking around on the street,
Hmm.
commuting? He can fly. Why would he be right here, right now? So I think that's the part that really works about his secret identity is people don't want to like people would want to believe that if I had that power, I'm gonna flaunt it. I'm gonna fly around. Some people don't think Superman has an identity at all, like a secret identity at all. They just think he
Superman all
um
the time.
yeah, Superman all the
Because
time.
who would want to be Clark Kent? There's actually
Right.
a I
Right.
forget what story it is. There's an issue where Luther basically figures out that Clark Kent is Superman, and he goes, "No, no way, no one would do that."
Yeah, why would you want to just be like why would you want to be a reporter that's especially when he's fumbling around or he's not standing as
Mhm.
straight, right? Like body language is a thing that people pay attention to and they're like, well, he may look like Superman because I know people that look like like an actor. You might be like, you kind
Yep.
of look like Brad Pitt, but you're not thinking it is Brad. And in fact, that's a good example right there. There have been people that have run into celebrities that say you look like Brad Pitt,
Yeah.
and it's Brad Pitt. Or Tony Hawk. This is a thing that happens to Tony Hawk all the time. He'll get run into and they'll say, "You look like Tony Hawk." And he's like, "Oh, I don't know who that is." Or like, "Oh, I hear that all the time."
I saw that on a TikTok video, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and people are thinking there's no way it's Tony Hawk right here, right? Is
Uh-huh.
what their mind is. So they're like, "You just look like him." Um, and it's kind of the same thing with Tony Hawk, who's like this huge celebrity, or at least was for people our age, right? Um, compared to like kids nowadays. I don't know if kids nowadays really know who Tony Hawk is, but
Well, they don't play the
it happens
video
all
game
the time.
anymore, so probably not.
Well, they did remake it. I have the
Okay.
remake. It was
Okay.
free on my
They
PlayStation.
well, that's good. So maybe they got a free game that they have no clue anything about.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, what's this Tony Hawk game? Oh, I guess it's
Who's
okay.
Tony Hawk? But yeah, so I do think it works that way. It's just I think what's funny is when you know the secret, right?
Mhm.
Like you're Pete, or you're a person watching the movie and you already know the secret.
Right.
It doesn't work for you because you know it. You know what you're looking for. You know that Clark is Superman. So like when Pete's asking, how do people not realize it's you just because you have glasses? It's because he knows that Clark is Superman. He grew up with them.
Right.
But when it's somebody that is just walking by on the street, yeah, and this is something that always gets me with like the secret identities, right? Is when and Spider-Man comics poke fun at this at one point, but when people want to see who's underneath the mask, right? Like that's always a thing. Like I gotta see who's under. Lift it up. Oh, I don't know who this is, right? Peter Parker. He's not famous, right?
Right.
So like,
Right.
if somebody takes off his mask and they don't know who Peter is, it's pointless for them. They have no clue who that is. It's a little different when it's like Bruce, right? Because Bruce Wayne's a celebrity, everyone knows him. But it's just funny. And in one of the Spider-Man comics, uh, Peter actually unmasks Electro. And he's like, "Time to see who you are." He takes off his mask. He's like, "I have no idea who this guy is."
That's actually really funny. That's a great
It
point,
is,
and I'm
yeah.
glad you brought that up. But yeah, I really like issue 6. I like issue 5 a lot too. Um, with the whole ending with the Superman, sorry about the window, and all that stuff. That was a lot of good stuff. And I thought it had a strong ending in issue 7 as well. I did have one question about issue 7 though. Something that didn't make sense to me. Why was Clark in the hospital and that didn't give it away?
Yeah, that was something I thought about as well. Because they mentioned like he has some sort of bleeding or stuff like that where he wouldn't, right? So that was confusing. Unless if the doctor from Smallville decided to show up and be like, "I got this, I got
Uh,
this."
Like I doubt that that's how it works. So I don't understand how that doesn't give it up. Um,
Hmm.
so I think there was some convenient writing at times in this. Actually, to be perfectly honest, I remember it as one of my favorite Superman stories. And dissecting it and reading it again, I'm like, it's very good. It's not as high as I thought it was. I'm getting that. I'm getting that now, and but I enjoy it, and I think that's the point of comics. You don't. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece to enjoy it,
Hmm.
which is actually very relevant now when nobody likes superhero movies anymore because they're not perfect apparently,
Everything is either the best thing ever or the
or
worst
the
thing
worst.
ever,
Yeah,
Chris. There's no middle ground. Um,
if there was no middle ground, you know how many comics wouldn't even exist?
True. Here's what got me. I thought issue 7 was very underwhelming. And the reason why is because it's the last one of the series. I was thinking, like, okay, it's going to wrap up some way. We get randomly introduced to Lobo. Um, I felt like that was a very anticlimactic villain
He
to
just throws
finish
them
it
up in
with.
the air.
Just throws them up in the air. That's it.
He's
He
just
gets
like,
caught on TV
okay,
saying
boom.
ass or whatever, right? Like,
Oh no, not
oh
ass.
no, not Superman. And then So in issue 6, you get Pete keep saying, right, like, you got to meet up with these other heroes, Batman,
Yeah.
other people like you. There's a fast guy, the Red Blur, right,
So
in
you would
Central
think it would
City.
lead to a Justice League kind of a thing.
And in issue 7, this is what pissed me off. In issue 7, Bruce says, "I am not Bruce. Sorry, Clark says, I am not alone," when talking to Lobo, and I was like, "Here comes the Justice League." Nope.
Yeah, I understand that. That's probably where they should have gone.
That's
Um,
what I thought they were building
the
to,
point of
because of
Lobo,
them
though,
saying it.
the point of Lobo was to tell him, "Oh, you don't even know. You don't even know you're Kryptonian. You ever wonder why nobody came to look for you? That kind of a thing." That's
But
wh- that's the whole
what?
point, though.
Yeah, what I would say is they could have just had the Lanterns tell him.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying I could write this better. I'm just saying that,
No,
like,
I know, but
you know,
I did like Lobo going, "Ha, he's actually crying."
yeah. Lobo's a
Uh,
jerk, man.
yeah, he is, but like it was like I feel like that's how Superman would react in that situation.
Yeah, I thought it was funny when he got caught cursing and everyone's clutching their pearls at Superman, just saying like "ass." I'm like, it's
Oh,
not
it's just
that bad.
yeah. Well, all right, so here's the deal. Here's the deal to me. The highs of this run are top notch. The lows aren't horrible enough to make me dislike it.
Hmm.
Um, and the rest is just the middle. But the highs to me, the first issue when he starts off, he's floating away and he doesn't know why. And I like that thing where he's kind of flying with the truck, and the neighbor goes something like yippies or
Hippies,
hippies.
yeah.
Yeah, he's like, God damn hippies. That that was I could just hear him go, these hippies. Like it, that was a fun thing. And when they're at the movie theater and he freaks out because they're watching an alien movie, to me that was the most relatable. I think issue one was the most relatable
Yeah.
superhero story that I have read. Like everyone grows up and they feel different and they're freaking out about things, and it's right at the age where you freak out about those kind of things.
Well, I like his
So
question to Lana, right? He says,
yeah,
like, would they do that to an alien?
yeah,
Because he's worried that, like, he's an alien.
yeah. Well, he thinks he's a freak, and they're going to treat him like a freak,
Hmm.
and he even sees himself in the mirror as like the alien from the movie.
Yeah.
Um, so I really loved issue one. I loved issue one.
Yeah, I have
And
that as my
I really
favorite
like
here.
the party. I really like the party on Bruce Wayne's boat, and I really liked the Dick Grayson Superman stuff.
So
Um,
is this your favorite panel here? Your favorite
yeah,
page?
yeah, it's my favorite page. Yeah, it's just as a huge Dick Grayson fan, I got everything I could want in a panel. I was like, it's a Superman story, and I got some Dick Grayson stuff, so I'm happy with that. I enjoy the living daylights out of Dick Grayson being analytical, and Superman kind of going toe to toe with him. Like, I don't know why we're doing this, but I'll play your little game.
Hmm.
It's like he and Bruce is trying to figure out what's going on with this kid. This is not normal kid stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and he figures it out when he because we kind of skipped over this, but he
Yeah.
rips off Batman's outfit when Batman comes in. And he realizes that it's Bruce Wayne. Another thing I thought was weird that he keeps Batman's cape for the next issue, and that's what he's using to like fly around in. Is like that cape.
Yeah, that's cool, and I like the goggles. I like when he's like, "Why'd you wear a helmet?" Pete's like, "Why'd you wear a helmet?" He's like, "To keep the bugs out of my eyes, dude."
Yeah, it makes you wonder what he's doing now with it, right?
Yeah,
Because I guess he's just
he's
swallowing
probably just
bugs.
used to it, you know.
Yeah. This is my favorite panel here, and this is from issue 1, and it is Clark, who had gotten in trouble for breaking something, right? And he says, when you
Mhm.
break something, you're not just breaking the thing, you're like hurting everyone who made it the way it was, which I thought was a pretty interesting way of looking at it
That is such a
from Clark.
grown up little kid there. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Like I It reinforces the idea that Superman is just a good dude. He's just a good dude. He's got a good heart and good intentions, and that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that panel a lot too.
Yeah, that was something that stuck with me. Not for like the art or anything. That's just the words right that
Hmm.
are being said here was something that kind of stuck with me um, from the first issue. I think Clark kind of backslides a bit in issue two, but I guess that's a teenager thing because he's like what 8 here, 9 here, something
Yeah,
like that.
he's a kid. He's in elementary school.
Yes.
And then he's a teenager, and I feel like we all do that. I think we're our purest self when we're a kid, and I think we are our least confident and sure selves when we're a teenager. And, I, I also think Superman's powers have to be a hard responsibility. I think a lot of times Superman and Lois they point that out. I think they do it in a lot better ways than issue two did. Uh, but it's got to be hard to be Superman in a world that's just you could do so catastrophic things so easily.
That's the thing about Superman, right? Is that and why like Lex and is so scared of him is
Mhm.
because Lex thinks about probably what he would do with that power, right? But when you
Could you
have somebody
imagine?
that when you have somebody with that power, you think they can literally destroy the whole world, and we're just benevolent to them. We're just beholden to whatever they decide to do, which is why he tries to come up with all these anti measures against Superman and stuff. But when you have, thankfully, Superman who was raised correctly as Clark Kent, it makes him want to do the right thing, and that's what makes Superman so special. Because most people with those powers will falter. So okay, here was a
Okay.
complaint too. I think it was issue two
Okay.
when they're talking about X-ray vision, and it hints that Clark has used this to perv on people.
Yeah.
A little line crossing there for
I
me.
I don't have a problem with it at that age. I if you gave at that age you gave me X-ray vision, you don't think I'm going to
But
use it? Come
Clark
on.
is supposed to be better than us. That's
No,
that's
but
the
see,
sticking
here's
point.
the thing. But here's the thing. When you're a teenager and you start to get the feel, no, he's off the hook. Now, if he's doing that at 15, 16, 20 years old, we got a problem. Um, so it depends on how old he is in this. But,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm going to give him a teenager hall pass there. Especially because he's like, once you do it a few times, they just kind of look weird.
yeah.
Um,
Because he mentions like because their like all their parts are pressed against their clothing. Like it doesn't
yeah,
look normal, right? Is kind of what he's saying there.
yeah. I don't know. I feel like we would all use our X-ray vision. I would use it for things that have nothing to do with the creepy stuff, though. I'd be like, where is my goddamn phone?
Yeah. Where did I put that? Um, but yeah, yeah. So that's something that rubbed me the wrong way on issue two. Is just like I was like I'm not feeling it, but it turned around thankfully.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see how you don't like issue two. It's not like I love it. I think that the heart of the story in every other issue was so much better than that. Issue two, I don't I think Max Landis maybe had too much of the bourbon. It's late at night. There's got to be a reason, because the rest of it's pretty darn consistent with the vibe.
yeah, I'm guessing he was just. Sometimes it just felt like being edgy for edgy's sake.
Mm. Did you have
Is
a favorite artist that did this series?
um
Did you have, if you had to pick one issue with the art?
I probably liked issue three with the art.
Yeah, I like that too. That kind of had a Dan Mora-ish vibe.
Yeah, that's the kind of art I really like. I love Dan Mora. So
Yeah.
let me see if I
Um,
can find out who did the art on issue three, so I can just shout them out here.
yeah. Might have been Francis Manapul. And he did
It
Flash.
was Mark Buckingham.
Mark Buckingham. All right. I know Francis Manapul did one. I actually really
Oh,
like.
actually, hold on. They have that. Okay, so this is a
Okay,
little
cool.
confusing. Little confusing. Let me. It's Joel Jones, is what it says on the cover.
Okay.
I'm not sure why Mark Buckingham got credit on the pencils, unless that was just the cover. Like maybe he just did the cover.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think the art inside is Joel Jones. Francis Manapul did issue 5.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, he did the new 52 Flash,
Mm-hmm.
the first big omnibus of that. I have his omnibus of that one. That's pretty good. The Flash New 52 gets a little more annoying after that. It was pretty good for that. That run though. Yeah, so issue 7 was Jock, and I thought it looked a little too much like Gotham, but I really liked the art. Like I thought it was like the the Battle of Lobo is pretty mundane, but I thought the art did it a lot of favors. But the interesting thing about it, 7 was really the story of Clark was texting Jimmy about Lois, and at the end, Lois says, "You know, Jimmy tells me everything anyway." So I thought that was a cute little ending with Lois and Clark. That is a cute little ending.
I like the cover though of 7 a
Yeah,
lot.
cover is fantastic.
Yeah,
So
that cover's wonderful. I think it's probably my favorite cover of the 7.
yeah, that is just chef's kiss right there. Because you got the sun, you got the S on the
All the lights of the city.
yeah. That's beautiful.
Wonderful. They fit that S in like everywhere on these covers.
Yeah, they do a really good job of that. It's actually one of the easier logos to adapt to things.
Yeah, well that and Batman I think is
Yeah.
pretty easy to see. Issue 5. Oh yeah, it's just on his chest. Okay, issue 4. The cover. Oh, that might not have the S. That might be one that doesn't have it.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. I don't see an S on issue 4. But how about 3? 3 has him on the boat.
There's got to be an S in there.
Oh, it's got the bat.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, because he's Bruce Wayne, so it's got the bat logo in the water. That's pretty
Okay.
interesting.
Okay. That was a choice. That was a choice. Um,
It
I
makes
love
sense.
I so you got to understand when I read
Here it
this.
is, by the way, too.
Oh, I like that. I like the
Yeah.
bat logo. That's a cool one. But you see, you gotta understand. I'm a Batman guy first. So anytime I get some Batman stuff in with my Superman stuff, I'm like, I'm double dipping. This is great.
All right. So your favorite issue was 6, you said, right?
Yes. Yeah.
There you go. Issue 6. I like that he's kind of, not in Superman gear. He's got
It's a
the
little like Where's Waldo?
yeah, he's got like the
Yeah.
finger over the mouth, like shush. But yeah, that's good. All right. Well, how about this? Let's think about. I'm going to tell everyone again here because
Okay.
I don't think I said it, but no Arrowverse update this week just because I've not watched enough to even be update worthy.
Lazy.
So lazy would be watching them,
I know,
Chris. That
I'm
would be me on
joking.
the couch watching
I'm joking.
them. But no, it doesn't help too that like my wife has taken up most of the downstairs after her procedure, so like I can't even watch it. Like she's always watching
You
her
know,
stuff right now.
that's
So
a good reason
yeah,
though. So you got to take
yeah,
care. You got to take care of her.
that's
That's
true.
a good reason.
But let's think about what we're gonna do for the next time we meet. Do you want to do a comic or like a movie
We've done 2 comics in
revisited?
a row. Let's do a movie.
Okay,
What movie are we thinking here?
Let's see.
It's all about the vibe when you talk about a movie. What vibe do we want for the next show?
That's true. Um, that's a good question. So I'm just thinking about like reasons to even talk about one. Is it like, all right, so around now is like the 6th year of BVS. In November is like the 5th year of Justice League. So it's like, do we cover one of those that has like an anniversary, or are we
I
going
will
further
not
back?
watch Justice League. I will watch Zack Snyder's Justice League. I will not watch Justice League. Not happening. We could play a
That's a
drinking
shame.
game with it. We could play a drinking game with it. But without that, I don't know that I can turn on Justice League and not get mad.
Quite enjoyed it. I've only watched it the one time though, so maybe that would change. But
So I kind of enjoyed it in the moment. In the theater, I walked out saying it wasn't that bad. I enjoyed the hell out of it. There were some good bits in there, but then you see Zack Snyder's Justice League, and you're like, God, how do you take that and then give us that? The comparison really hurts it.
yeah.
Zack Snyder's
Um,
Justice League is a masterpiece.
I don't know if I'd go that far for me, but it
Well,
is. It's better, I think. But uh, my main issue with Zack Snyder's Justice League is a few, right, and that's too long and the stupid 4:3 aspect ratio. Um, I want to watch it on the whole screen, dude. I don't want it cut off. Like, come on.
all right.
Um, those are
That
my
one
biggest problems.
I'll get with you on that one. I can see that.
I would probably give Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 more stars if they cut the epilogue of the Nightfall stuff
Uh-huh.
and if
The
they were in a
epilogue hurt it.
regular aspect ratio.
I didn't like the epilogue. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't like the epilogue. So
Well, my main complaint with it is that you're not getting a chance to make the other
so
ones.
why?
So just end it a good way. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
it was a perfect ending without the epilogue. Um,
Exactly.
but Dark Side stepping on Steppenwolf's foot like a soccer ball. I was like,
Mhm.
yes, give me that. Give me that. That was prepare the armadas. We will use the old ways. I was so ready for Justice League Part 2. I was like, oh, we're never going to get it, but I want it so bad.
So I guess let's see. We have some future movie talk that we wrote down.
Uh-huh.
So let's go
Okay.
ahead and I'm going to narrow it down here. We can
Okay.
go BVS for the 6th year anniversary, or we talk Superman 78 because of continuing the Superman 85th anniversary,
Uh-huh. And that would keep it light. That would keep it light.
and I'll leave it up to those two. So I'll let you choose, Chris. Whatever one you
Let's
feel
go.
like talking about.
Let's go Superman 78. Give me a reason to go rewatch it. I haven't watched it in a while.
Me too. Yeah, I haven't watched it in a while.
And it's a good movie. You got Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor. Yeah, I'm down. I'm down. Superman 78 next week. I'll have to find time to watch it, but it should be worth it.
Yeah, if we can't get to it next week, we can do the week after because I know you have the draft too.
Yeah,
So
well, so if it doesn't have to be Thursday next week. The good thing about next week is I still have school, so Wednesdays are pretty much screwed. Um, but Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I should be available on one of those days. So,
okay, I'll have to see
um,
if that works because I have 2 other podcasts on Monday and
and if
Tuesday.
we do Thursday before the draft, we could probably do that, but it just can't.
What time does it start?
The draft is going to be, I think, it's 7.
Oh yeah, we
So,
would do this
yeah,
time, so we'd be done.
yeah. So we might be able to do Thursday. I am a huge football nerd, so it is. It's not like every other year. You don't even know me every other year. Like this is the first year I haven't had a big board. Um,
Oh
'Cause
really?
I've been doing school. I've been doing school, so I just haven't been able to commit the way that I normally commit to it. But yeah, last year my big board was 320 prospects. Like
Wow.
I watched a lot of tape. I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd for football too. It's
So tell me, Chris, who are the Ravens taking?
all right. If I had my druthers, it would be Jordan Addison, wide receiver from USC. Deontay Banks is a guy I really like, the corner from Maryland. Joey Porter Jr., the corner from Penn State. Wide receiver or corner has got to be where you go, assuming
Probably.
Lamar's your quarterback, and you're not. You might take Hendon Hooker if you're not sure about Lamar. But I want to trade up for a quarterback, especially when you're probably getting one more year. At this point, you're getting Lamar on the tag. You're thinking you're getting Lamar on the tag unless something drastic changes,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be a shock. So 1 year of Lamar on the tag, build up the roster around him. You know, Jordan
Yep.
Addison or Deontay Banks. Although, the Ravens didn't visit with Banks, so Joey Porter Jr. would probably be the more likely pick.
There you go. So that's for all the Baltimore people like me and
Yeah,
Chris. There you go.
we're Ravens fans
There's your
here.
stuff.
You know,
Yeah, we lucked out that we're in the same metropolitan area.
Yeah, it's cool because we're talking about the Ravens. We started talking about the Ravens at 52 minutes in. That's a pretty good time significance there. So,
Oh, true. Yes.
those who know, and the rest of us, we'll get back on the DC stuff.
Yeah. So we'll talk Superman 78. I bought it on 4K recently, but I haven't watched it. So
I think it's on HBO Max.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
So,
So I am
so I'll definitely watch it.
excited.
If I have to rent it, I'll rent it, but I think it's on HBO Max.
Let me know. Reach out to me if you can't find it
Okay.
because yeah.
Yeah.
I can hook you up.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah, so it's been fun. We're gonna talk Superman 2 weeks in a row. And then
Yeah.
I guess that'll be 4 weeks, so we'll have more Superman the next week over Superman and Lois recap. Actually, no, we won't because they
It's
suck.
they took a week
Yeah,
off.
yeah. You know
So
what? We
I'll have to
won't have Superman and
readjust.
Lois. You
Yeah,
know,
we'll have to
they.
readjust.
This is why network TV is dying. You're doing it to yourselves.
Yeah, really. I mean, the
The
streaming
interest is
networks don't
there.
care.
The interest is there. You don't have to stretch it out. You have this. You paid the same amount per episode. You get the same amount for commercials per episode. What are you doing?
They need it for sweeps. They need it for May sweeps. That's what they need it for.
Because people
Unfortunately,
are watching other networks. Come on.
that's still a, for some reason is a
Outdated
thing.
thinking.
Yeah.
I want my Superman and Lois. It's driving me crazy. I'm going through withdrawal.
So we'll talk Superman 78, and then
Okay.
we'll decide what we're going to talk the week after there. But I just want to thank you all for listening or watching. If you want to give us follow at Elseworlds DC fan on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, email us elseworldsdcfan@gmail.com for any sort of written feedback you have. Did you like American Alien or did you not? You can write us there. Any sort of Superman 78 feedback can go there as well. I am also going to be doing an interview with somebody. I have a guest coming on my Star Wars podcast to talk Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary. So that's what I'm doing tomorrow. And then I'll have that up over the weekend too if anybody's interested in checking out that. We're just going to talk all about the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, which I bought tickets for because they re-released it.
That's
So
pretty
I'm
cool.
gonna
That's
go
pretty
see it
cool.
in theaters.
And I'll definitely be listening to that. And the pod. What's the? May the pod be with you.
It's The Pod Awakens.
The Pod Awakens. Okay, it's good. It's highly recommended listening. I listened to the last episode and I enjoyed it.
Thank you for the kind words.
Of
And now
course.
all the other listeners can join in with those kind words and send
Hopefully,
me
yeah.
feedback. But yes, so we are. So I'll be doing that. So if people are Star Wars fans, we're gonna have some good time with that. That's gonna come out as well. And yeah, thanks for all who listened or watched. We will catch you next time talking Superman 1978, the movie, not the comic.